This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Back in black today, Lee. We are dressed in black. There's no funeral we're going to. Had a good night last night, 2-1. We'll go over that in just a bit. Major League Baseball playoffs starting today with 4 games. So let's get right to it with our first hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
4 games in Major League Baseball today. The nightcap out in Los Angeles, the Dodgers and the Reds. Dodgers beginning their title defense this evening in the wild card round. And Andy Pages of the Dodgers, Lee, what do you like with his basis prop this evening?
I bet everyone thought I was going to go with, one of the big names, Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman. Nope. Andy Pages. And why am I going to go with him to record a hit? This isn't 1.5 bases like we usually do. You got to dig a little bit deeper here. So price minus 170 to 180. It is a little elevated, but small sample here. But Pages is 3 for 5 off of Hunter Green. And all 3 of his hits were actually homers. So getting really good wood on one of the best pitchers here in Hunter Green. So, like I said, even though it's a high price tag, minus 170 to minus 180, all you got to do is get a hit. And he's playing at home. And, I think he's going to get at least 3, probably. I think he's going to get 4 at-bats in this game. So, a lot of people think this is going to be like a 2-1, 3-2 game. I'm not so sure about that. We're going to go with Andy Pages, it's spelled Pages, Andy Pages, to record a hit, minus 170 to 180 for the Dodgers in the late game tonight. Hidden gem.
And also, too, we can never depend on these starting pitchers to go very long. I feel like we've seen that the last few years. So Hunter Green, this guy could pitch 3 innings. He could pitch 4 innings and be out. So there's no guarantee of anything with a lot of them. And we'll see if that continues tonight. And the Reds, who kind of slipped through the back door, we'll talk more about them and their matchup with the Dodgers coming up. But we'll see what LA does as far as them being in this opening round. 4 games today. Tigers Guardian starts it off yesterday. I had the under I put out the under in the first 5 innings between Detroit and Cleveland with Tarek Skubal on the mound. So we'll see if that cashes today. Then you have Cubs Padres at Wrigley, and then the Red Sox and the Yankees meet up this evening in the Bronx. That should be a pretty good one, Lee. So it is exciting to have 4 games right out of the chute here to start the Major League Baseball playoffs.
I love it. I love it all day long. It's going to be going through the weekend. So while I'm doing my work, got it on in the background. So, hey, I love winning and I love watching sports.
Is there one series that you're really interested in out of the 4?
I don't know if there's, just one of them, but I mean, you look at all 4.
And we say Red Sox Yankees just because of the rivalry?
The rivalry. Yeah. I mean, there's some other interesting series and some interesting players and teams. Maybe Detroit and Cleveland. Detroit, they went through a really bad stretch. Maybe if they get their mojo going again, they're a team. So I'm going to be watching them closely. It's going to be interesting to see if the Cleveland pitching, which came around, not saying they have great hitting, but timely hitting, if the Cleveland pitching comes around, they got a lot of young guys, young arms. They don't have any grizzled veterans. Sometimes these young guys, they get to postseason, and that's why you do see some players, they get brought up, starters and also relievers. These guys have played. They played now going, these different leagues. They play all summer. So pitching in front of 50,000 people in the playoffs isn't that big a deal to them anymore. So, So I would say Cleveland is my dark horse, but Detroit, they get it going again. They could be a tough out.
Detroit, Cleveland, the winner of that series will take on Seattle coming up in the next round. Now, let's look back at last night, Lee. 2-1 here on the show with your picks. Garrett Wilson of the Jets ends up going over his receiving prop. We'll start with him, and the Dolphins end up beating the Jets last night for their first win. But you nailed it as far as Miami's secondary. Not very good, and Garrett Wilson was able to expose it and have another good game in a loss.
Yeah, and then also he had a touchdown call back, and I thought that was a very, very highly questionable call. Do you think that was the right call there?
It's tough. I mean, the offensive pass interference. He's a strong guy, and it's a questionable one to say the least.
Yeah. So he got there and going against some really bad Miami cornerbacks, so we took advantage of that. He's a really only threat that they've got on the team. So, like I said, if the number was 70s or 80s, was not going to play it. 63 and a half, we'll take advantage of it. Couldn't pick a winner on that game. Two really bad teams, but hey, one player prop winner, we'll take it.
Then on the other side, Tyreek Hill rips up his leg. He's now out for the season. So the Dolphins thought they had maybe a little momentum going to the Carolina game next week, kind of rebuild the season. But now with Tyreek out, definitely a huge hit to that offense.
Even when the Dolphins win, it seems like they lose. They probably should have traded him. They could have gotten a second or third rounder for him. Now, the only thing they can do is hope he rehabs and he's better next year. I mean, no one's going to trade for him even this offseason, in my opinion, because he's damaged goods now. But Darren Waller, out of nowhere, who missed the season, everyone always thought he was very talented. It looks like they might have made the right decision, taking their time with him till he could get healthy. He looked really good. He was a difference maker when he was good. So Dolphins actually might have found a hidden gem at tight end where all their other, guys they picked up in free agency, the cornerbacks and the offensive linemen were bust. So give the Dolphins a little bit of credit for doing something, but then again, should have traded Tyreek Hill. Like I said, it's just one of these cases. The Dolphins, can't even find much to look forward to after losing Tyreek Hill for the rest of the season.
And Darren Waller, 2 touchdowns in the win last night. In the second game, the Bengals, boy, oh boy. I thought after the Vikings lost, they'd show a little bit of competitiveness, and that wasn't the case. The Broncos bounced back after a couple last-second losses the last 2 weeks. Denver blew out Cincinnati last night, and you split on those. Courtland Sutton, 5 catches in the first half, none in the second half. You had the under 5.5, so we'll start with that. Hey, whatever works, Lee. Sometimes that's just got to be what it is to get the win.
Well, if Cincinnati would have regained their mojo, we would have had a chance there, but probably would have lost the Courtland Sutton prop there because then they would have opened it up. So they basically ran the ball a lot, threw the ball underneath, played it very safe and conservative in the second half. But Sutton was sitting right there, but didn't get over. So we probably got a break there. But the Cincinnati offense, absolutely dreadful, and it's on the offensive line. I mean, you'd love to say Jake Browning didn't play well. He might not have played well, but there was literally 6 or 7 times he went back to pass and guys maybe were brushed on their shoulder or not touched at all. So Cincinnati offensive line, one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a game, not just run blocking, pass blocking. They can talk about maybe I heard people talking about trading maybe for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins would have been sacked another 2 or 3 times because he's 36, 37 years old. So, unless they got someone with 4.3 speed, it's a disaster. So maybe they were getting guys, when Joe Burrow was quarterbacking, giving a little more effort. It just didn't seem like the effort was there and the communication was horrific. So, another bad owner, another coach that's probably going to be fired, another team with an awful offensive line. Teams with bad offensive lines. Houston Texans, they made a mistake not, spending money on the offensive line, and the guy got a quarterback there, CJ Stroud, that's running for his life all game, every game. So just not going to win games like, with bad offensive lines. Dolphins are another team, a few other teams, just absolutely horrific. So offensive line is important.
I know it was just a preseason game, but I keep thinking about that highlight with Joe Burrow when they played Washington, and he's just back there, and the offensive line just like is staring at him while two guys are about to just kill him. And you say, my God, like you're right. Nobody's surviving behind that offensive line, and you had the second play was the Bengals over 1.5 touchdowns. They couldn't even get in the end zone one time last night. It's just amazing how Cincinnati, yes, you lose Joe Burrow, it's going to make a difference, but how the offense just completely fallen off.
Yeah, I mean, the thing they do best is helping these quarterbacks up when they get knocked down. So I would not want to be a quarterback. No, I never faced that. Fortunately, I was on good teams in high school and college. Offensive line was great. Makes a quarterback's job a lot easier. So it's just frustrating to watch how dumb some of these GMs and head coaches are. The head coach has to have some input into who they want also. But these GMs, I mean, we even saw in one of the pre-games of the NFL, wasn't this Sunday, the Sunday before, I forget who the person they had on, said they had they obviously didn't name which coach, but obviously he talked to almost every single GM, and they thought that Lenore Sellers, these are GMs of NFL teams, thought he was something to the effect that most NFL-ready quarterback would be the best quarterback coming out of college football. I'm like, are they watching this guy? This guy has no accuracy at all. I mean, he's another, Richardson, like Indiana, who's drafted 4th, who's sitting on the bench right now. So, you fall in love with these athletes. You fall in love with Drew Allar of Penn State. You might have the arm, but bottom line, if you don't have the DNA, don't have the smarts, and I'm not saying, guys like John Mateer is going to be a great quarterback for Oklahoma, but you got to have a little bit of that DNA. You got to have, you got to have the smarts. You got to have that a little bit of everything. You can't just be a freak physically. So just frustrating as a former player and someone who watches it and really wants to see good football, to see just these clowns as GMs and head coaches have no idea what they're doing.
And the Bengals, we'll see if they can turn things around. I mean, who knows at this point? It seems like the season's pretty much in the toilet for them. Coming up, we will talk about the WNBA tonight. Game number 5, the Fever and the Aces. The winner goes to the WNBA Finals against Phoenix coming up. So we'll talk about that. Also, the Dodgers and the Reds. And we have some college football as well inside the Big 12. Houston and Texas Tech will hit on those games coming up. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, and that's right. This is the time to get in. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, and you can use it for all sorts of things. We know about college football, but also with the NFL. Week 5 begins on Thursday. The 49ers taking on the Rams. You got a lot of big games coming up this weekend. Sides, totals, money lines. You can bet on all of that. Also, player props as well. And if you think Matthew Stafford's going to go over his passing yardage prop on Thursday night against San Francisco, maybe look into that. Also, futures. Josh Allen of the Bills. Can he repeat as MVP right now at FanDuel? He is the favorite to win that award. Also, the Buffalo Bills, they are the favorites to win the Super Bowl coming up in February in Santa Clara. And those odds change every single week, so you got to get on it now if you like it. Also, Eagles right behind, who won the Super Bowl last year, and you could bet on Super Bowl champion, AFC champion, NFC champion, individual awards, all of that at FanDuel, as well as the game. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We continue here, Locked On Bets, on a Tuesday, final day of September. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And it is time now, Lee, for our second Hidden Gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
I know, Lee, you've been waiting for it. Winner goes to the WNBA Finals. Loser goes home as the Las Vegas Aces hosting the Indiana Fever. Phoenix Mercury waiting in the wings. They are already in the WNBA Finals. So what I like tonight, first quarter under of it's about 40.5. It depends on which books you look at, but 40.5 the consensus. And here's why. Number one, Indiana just beat Las Vegas in Game 4 at home. They outshot Las Vegas, the free throw line, 34-16. I think that's going to turn around tonight. We're going to see Indiana going to the free throw line a bunch. Also, Aces at home in the playoffs, 3-1 to the under in the first quarter. We saw an over back in Game 4. I think it's going to be, as they say, Lee, nip and tuck in the first 10 minutes. I believe it'll be a low-scoring first quarter, and the winner will head to the WNBA Finals. So that is my hidden gem for the WNBA tonight.
What time does this game start, Kevin?
9:30 Eastern.
Okay. Good. I got 3 TVs. I can watch that while I'm watching some UFC fights and things like that, and baseball game. So just got to make sure most of the other games, baseball games, will be over by that time. So
it'll be. I think it's on ESPN2 tonight. So keep just one eye out, not both eyes, but one eye.
And
out
how long was it been? About 17 and a half minutes still?
Yeah. Give or take.
Okay.
Yeah. You're done.
I can handle that.
Before 10 o'clock Eastern, you should be okay. And then you can move on to something else. You'll be fine.
Yep.
All right. Let's now shift our attention back to baseball. Dodgers and the Reds at Chavez Ravine.
What the fuck?
WTF.
The Dodgers couldn't be a top 2 team in the National League. It was the Brewers and Phillies. But, it's that old argument that, maybe because they're not having all that time off, it'll benefit them. We've seen the Dodgers get knocked out when they've had that bye. But last year, obviously won the World Series. So, Lee, with all that being said, LA a heavy favorite tonight against Cincinnati. What do you like in Game 1?
All right. So a lot of people look at this pitching matchup, and you got Hunter Snell, 5-4, 230.
Hunter Green.
No, Blake Snell. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Blake. Okay, yeah, okay. You combined the two fireballers. Go ahead.
They are fireballers.
Yeah,
Blake Snell, 5-4, 235 ERA, 126 WHIP in the 11 starts that he's had. Looks like that he is getting better. Going against a Reds lineup that kind of struggled a lot with strikeouts at times this season. So pitching at home, that's an advantage. Really good lineup behind him. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy here, and Andy Pages, as we mentioned. So I think there's depth there. There's power. And, people just look at thinking, it's Ohtani and that's it. But they are from 1 through 7 or 8. They're about as deep as it gets. And maybe the best overall lineup. So I think they still might be the best team. Going to be going up against Hunter Green. Hunter Green, 107 innings pitched, has given up 15 home runs. So it's not like he doesn't give up the long ball. Talk about Pages, has had success against him. Only 5 at-bats, but 3 homers here. So I just think that the lineups is, there's not that much difference in the starters here. Also, like I said, they might get to the bullpen, and don't think that the Cincinnati bullpen is that deep here. So I think we've got the better pitcher by a little bit, got the better bullpen, and by far the better lineup. So I'm not gonna lay 190, 200. I'm gonna lay the 1.5 runs, and it's plus money, plus 110. I'm gonna say the wrong team is favored because they're plus 110 laying 1.5 runs. LA Dodgers here, my wrong team favored for Tuesday night, opening night, the Major League Baseball playoffs.
And you know what, too, Lee, when you look at the Reds, they've gone through so many managers over the years and hasn't worked out. They got Terry Francona, and I'm not going to call it magic because the Mets melted down, so they kind of had the benefit of the Mets not playing well. But I got to give him credit, though, that he was able to get Cincinnati somewhat on track and to be one of the top 6 teams in the National League.
Yeah, but who do you really have to worry about? Only probably 2 or 3 guys in that lineup. So unless these guys in the first, baseball playoffs come out and just, playing extremely well, I don't see it. That's tough place to win in Chavez Ravine.
And also, too, the Dodgers swept the Reds in their last series back in LA a few months ago. So we'll see if the Dodgers can keep it up And obviously now you have you have Ohtani you can always go to in game 3, or at least he'll be pitching in the postseason. So that's a big thing for the Dodgers as well. Coming up, we will hit on college football and the Big 12, Texas Tech and Houston. We're going to talk about that matchup coming up on Saturday as we continue here, Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets rolls on here on a Tuesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And we had a big college football weekend last weekend. And the games this weekend, you don't have as many of the huge games, but still a lot of big ones, including Miami and Florida State on Saturday night, but also another game on Saturday night. Texas Tech at 4-0 against 4-0 Houston. And the Red Raiders, they're a heavy favorite. So it's time now for our Lock of the Day.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the Lock of the Day.
What pressure, too, on Texas Tech. All the money they've spent, they can't mess around here. But, hey, they're, 11th in the country, taking on Houston. And the Cougars, undefeated so far, but heavy home dogs. So, Lee, what do you like here with Texas Tech and Houston inside the Big 12?
You're right. They did spend some money. And look at the NIL figures. Who are the top 6 teams? Lot of the, the teams that you've heard and seen there before. Texas, number 1. Ohio State, number 3. Oregon Ducks, number 4. No shock there. You saw what buying a bunch of great offensive and defensive linemen and skill players will do for you as they dominated Penn State. And then number 5 and number 6, Texas A&M. But the number 2 team is Texas Tech. Now, I don't know if it's sustainable. They have one really big donor, but number 2 this year. And of those 6 teams, only 1 loss. Texas. Why? They had to play Ohio State. So someone had to lose. So you spend money, you're generally going to get better players. Texas Tech, so far this year, their best win, 34-10 win against Utah in Salt Lake City on the road. And you're saying, maybe it was turnovers or something. Well, they dominated the game. They had a 484-263 total yard advantage here, and they played more than half the game with a backup quarterback. Houston's best win over Colorado. That's right, 2-3 Colorado. Their only wins this year against Delaware and Wyoming. Texas Tech, why are they so dominant, just like Oregon? Defensive line. They went out and bought a whole new defensive line. I've always talked about the most important player is the quarterback. Obviously, Texas Tech has 2 of them, but also the defensive line. You get really good defensive tackles. They stop the run, make it easier for the defensive ends and the edge rushers to get to the quarterback. So it helps also the defensive backs, too, on top of that. They don't have to cover guys for an extra second and a half. They picked off the best defensive linemen from Stanford, Central Florida, Northern Illinois, and Georgia Tech. These are really good defensive linemen here. They've only allowed 45 points in 4 games and held Utah on the road to 10 points. And star quarterback, dual threat quarterback, who's been running wild against everyone, Devin Dampier, to 27 yards on 11 carries here. And they also have one common opponent, these 2 teams. Tech played Oregon State and beat them easy peasy, 45-14. Houston struggled to win 27-24 in overtime. We're going to go with a level 2 lock on a Tuesday. Texas Tech minus 11.5 against the Houston Cougars.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Texas Tech moving up in the world now with all the money they're spending and trying to compete with their friends at the University of Texas, who have obviously huge pockets, but Texas Tech definitely making a lot of waves there in the Big 12. So we'll see if that continues coming up on Saturday night. And Lee, another big week. We have a couple nights off now with no football. We have our Tuesday, Wednesday weekend before we get back to Thursday night football. So week 5 begins in the NFL, week 6 in college football. What's going on with Paramount Sports?
Well, ready for this weekend, huge weekend. College and NFL. I think the schedule's good for both of them. Found some really strong plays. They want to hop on board. We don't call it October. We call it Locktober. You can get the entire month Normally $597. If you use coupon code SAVE100, just $497 every single game through Halloween. That's right, Halloween, October 31st, on our executive phone service where we rate the games from 10 to 50 units, just $497. But use that coupon code SAVE100. Also, you want to get the baseball player props. Like I said, starts today all the way through the World Series. We lowered that price from $250 to $97. That's right, $97. All the player props. You'll probably get 3 or 4 a day for the first round. We're ready to go there. You want to get our selections in baseball. We lowered that also from $297 to just $97. And also a UFC card. That's right, 7 big selections, just $57. Looks like we'll have another 40 to 50 unit max wager. So we are rolling in every single sport, and hockey starts in a week. So you're ready to go. We're ready to go in every single sport. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube, Locked On Bets, and the audience keeps growing day by day. Also, the audio version, the podcast version, you can find on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast. Find Lee on X at Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. We're back with you coming up on Wednesday. We flipped the calendar to October. It is here, and it's going to be a very fun month with a lot going on. NHL starting next Tuesday, NBA in a few weeks, and the football keeps continuing as well as the baseball playoffs. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.